My name is Quincy Morgan. I am tech lead at OpenStreetMap US. Great conference so far. Thanks, Ming, for the great talk right there. I'm involved in the Americana project, so it's cool to see that on stage. Today, I'll be talking about authoritative crowdsourcing with public domain map, which is a project of OpenStreetMap US. Now, just the title, authoritative and crowdsourcing, are next to each other. It turns some heads sometimes, so I'm going to try to convince you that this is possible and how you can get involved. Of course, OpenStreetMap is great. You know this, power of the crowd, strong community. There's a lot of great people involved, and that's why you're all here. I don't have to tell you all this. It has an ODBL license, which protects a lot of contributors and encourages contributions. And of course, it's free. So this begs the question, where are all the government folks? There's some of you guys here, but it's free, great data. Why aren't more government agencies involved? Not just at the federal level, but at the state level and at the local level. So why can't the US government embrace OSM? It's a complicated question once you get into it. And I'm not saying that some agencies don't use it. Of course, Gerald just gave a talk about it. But we would really like any government agency to get involved in the project if they could, bring that resources and bring civic engagement and civic participation in terms of mapping to the US public. And the short answer to this question is licensing, but there's also a lot of data needs that differ between the government and OpenStreetMap. Because when you're the government, you want data in a certain format and such. First of all government data needs to be published with a public domain license, more or less. It needs to be authoritative. You can put that in quotes if you want, but authoritative is, by definition required. And it has to be interoperable with existing government systems. If you have data in one format, it has to play with data in the existing formats. But wouldn't it be nice if the government could also have civic participation? And we could just define this as crowdsourcing, so we're all familiar with OpenStreetMap data. Again, what makes data authoritative? Already says it's authoritative. And again, you can put quotes around it if you want, but that's the deal. But this takes trust, and data needs to be validated by the authority itself, and needs to have accompanying metadata that says who, what, when, or why, and how it was validated and created. So to put it more simply, here's a chart. Most data is not authoritative, and it's just created by whomever, and it's hard to contribute to or impossible to contribute to it if you're just the general public. OpenStreetMap, of course, is crowdsourced, but the government wouldn't consider it authoritative, although some countries might. So there's always edge cases to all my statements. And traditional government data, it's often really good data, but it's closed to public participation. So what about this box here? Well, a lot of us have been asking this question for years now, and OpenStreetMap US has been involved with various government actors to try to solve this question. And we've come up with something we call a public domain map. First of all, it's not a second OpenStreetMap. We're not duplicating the entire thing. It's not data that is a general purpose map that lives forever. But what it is a bridge database that lives between OSM and government data sets. And because all public domain map has a permissive license, Creative Commons 0, then that can go back and forth with government data, and it could also go into OSM. And I've been showing you a lot of bullet points, a lot of graphics, but I'd really like to get into recordings, what this actually looks like. Hopefully this plays. Yeah, there we go. So we have our own tasking manager at OpenStreetMap US. You can go on to tasks.openstreetmap.us and find it. And we recently redesigned it to include, let's see if I can pause it here. Yeah, we include OpenStreetMap projects, and we also include public domain map projects. So that's saved to a different database under a different license. But we've forked the OpenStreetMap technology stack to take advantage of all the great tools everyone's put out, and makes crowdsourcing really easy, makes development really easy, and puts the data in a format that OpenStreetMap understands and can also be converted to all common data formats. So you can go in and browse projects if you're a member of the public, and say you've heard about a project or you're just trying to discover stuff. For example, we want to map all the trails in the US for our Trail Stewardship Initiative, which is a bigger task than you might think. But with Power of the Crowd, it is a lot more possible. So here's an example of how you would make that kind of task. If you've never seen the back end of Task Manager, then this is a bit of a behind the scenes look. It's pretty easy. So anyone with access can go in and create the project parameters, set the size of the tasks. This is a really big area, so we want to have a lot of squares there so that people go in and map. Name the project, and not every organization can create public domain map tasks. It's anyone who has a relationship with OpenStreetMap US will be able to create public domain projects, and it's all sort of curated so that we know that we're asking the public to map useful data that can be used for both databases. It's just going through and setting all the required parameters here. And there's so many options if you want to customize your project. If you're not familiar with Task Manager at all, it's a way to ask people to contribute to mapping campaigns and to split up a project into different geographic areas to make sure no one's overlapping work. So if I was a mapper, I could go in, select a square, start mapping. We have before put the ID editor that has been stripped of all not public domain imagery sources, and you can go in and start mapping. So if I was mapping this trail that maybe it's never been mapped, maybe it's an OpenStreetMap, but the government can't access that OpenStreetMap data very easily. So you can go in and map that data. And then once you're done, you can you'll just hit the save button and it'll upload to public domain map. And all this data exists on its own layer, unlike OpenStreetMap. So there'll be tags that say which project you're working on. If you're mapping subway stops, that you probably don't care about the sidewalks and so on, because it's ad hoc campaigns for specific data requirements from project partners. And then, of course, how does it become authoritative data? Well, if the authority says it's authoritative, it is. So in this case, if you have some of our partners will go in, like, for example, we're doing a pilot right now with the Federal Railroad Administration, and they have government people who go in, review the data that's been mapped, which is ongoing, by the way, and they can say, yes, it's good, or no, it's not. And our belief is that a lot of cases, the data will be even better than existing government data just based on existing standards. So project status. We're finishing up the pilot, which is super exciting. Public launch is imminent. We'll see when that gets around. See Maggie's cross her fingers. And of course, it's a great time to get involved. The tool's built. It's rounding out the rough edges. And next steps are to get the word out. That's what I'm doing right now. And also consider use cases beyond US government. We love OpenStreetMap, but there's a lot of times where you might want some kind of data that doesn't fit in the map, whether it's some kind of social data, whether it's, I don't know, I want to go in and put a point where I smell wildfire smoke today or something like that. So, wherever your mind goes, it might be useful for that. So you can contact info@publicdomainmap.org with your ideas, and one of us will get the email, or you can see anyone from the OSM US team here at State of the Map US, myself, Maggie Colley, Jess Buehler. And there's various people around here who have been involved with the project I'm going to shout out. So Jim McAndrews, there in the back, Gerald, some people might have to remind me, but yeah, that's it. I'll take some questions now, and maybe Mag will come up and help me with the questions.